Welcome to my Jurassic Park scene rankings video, or should I say, welcome to Jurassic Park scene rankings. No, I shouldn't say that because I suck at accents, as you'll find out as we go through this video. Let's get started. There's 42 scenes. Let's go from worst to best. At number 42, we have the Brachiosaurus sneezing on Lex. This scene is just a bit too cheesy for me. From the sneeze gag to Tim's punchline joke.
God bless you!
To the fact that the animatronic Brachiosaurus looks like it's smiling, this just feels too schmaltzy for me. At number 41, we have the beginning of the tour, and this scene is all the way down here because of another bad punchline.
What do they got in there, King Kong?
This line makes no sense because Malcolm already knows what the park is for. He knows Hammond's cloned dinosaurs. He's fully aware of what's in those gates. And Malcolm is much funnier when it doesn't feel forced. At number 40, we have Gennaro at the Amber Mine, and this is almost pure exposition. In lesser hands, it could have been really boring, but it's actually very efficient with how it explains to us why all the experts are going to be going to Jurassic Park. It tells us a little bit about John Hammond, a little bit about Alan Grant. We see a mosquito and Amber. All very efficient. It's just not as notable as other scenes in this incredible movie. At number 39, we have the scene in the control room where Arnold tells the characters just how they are from Nedry's shenanigans. This is a good scene at just really selling us on how dire the straits are.
I can't get Jurassic Park back online without Dennis Nedry.
But it's really just a transitional scene from the first T-Rex attack to the Dilophosaurus attack. And speaking of Dilophosauruses, number 38 is when the Dilophosauruses no-show during the tour. And I like this scene because it shows that no matter how hard he tries, Hammond doesn't have any control over this. He even wants the dinosaurs to show up, but he can't control that. But Steven Spielberg certainly can, and I love how he withholds showing us too much too early. At number 37, we have the scene where they shut down the system, and I actually think this scene is pretty clunky. Exposition in Jurassic Park is handled masterfully, but not in this scene. When they're talking about the lysine contingency, it just feels like Samuel L. Jackson is reading off a script. And I just don't buy that Muldoon doesn't even question what shutting down the system means for the raptor pens. He's been concerned about the raptors all movie, but not in this scene. But the reason this scene is higher than everything I've talked before, I mean, there's an incredibly iconic image that opens up the scene. At number 36, we have the scene right before that one. It's the one where Grant finds all the eggs. So this is exposition done well, as Grant explains just how the dinosaurs might be breeding. But more than anything, I just like how this scene hits on that theme of nature overcoming man's attempts at controlling it.
I found a way.
At number 35, we have the scene at the raptor pen, and Jurassic Park has this through line where the raptors are established early on. We have little scenes about just the danger that they pose sprinkled throughout the movie, and then they're the big baddies at the end of the movie. And this scene fits in nice in that structural framework. Like listening to the raptors feeding on that cow, that ensures that the audience never really forgets about the raptors, that they're always on the back of our minds. And that's just really elegant storytelling. At number 34, we have the Gallimimus Stampede, and I like this scene. It's a good set piece that just shows the variety on hand in Jurassic Park. It played in all the trailers, so it's already pretty iconic just by looking at it. I will say the CGI here is probably aged worse than any of the other CGI moments in this movie. And as much as I love the T-Rex, I think the characters are too unfazed by it popping out here. At number 33, we have the scene where Alan resuscitates Tim, and this is a good scene. Its placement in the movie means it's pretty tense because so much horrific stuff has been happening. The audience kind of needed this moment of relief and warmth, just seeing how much Alan cares about the kids. But come on, this kid cannot have survived this. These fences were designed to keep dinosaurs from breaking through them. This kid is not a dinosaur. He should not be able to have withstood this shock. And he definitely shouldn't have been able to finish his punchline.
1, 2, 3.
It's kind of ridiculous. Like, I can barely keep my train of thought going for a video like this, and I'm not being shocked. Oh, man. I'm exhausted. I'm going to call it quits for tonight. Let's just turn off the mic. At number 32, we have the scene where Ian explains to Ellie the concept of chaos. And this is a fun scene with a punchline that works way better than Tim's punchline.
See, here I'm now by myself, talking to myself. That's chaos, dude.
Exposition is best when it's energetic and character-based, which this scene nails. Fun explanation of chaos, which feeds into the themes of the movie. And a good setup with the water cup for the T-Rex attack. At number 31, it's our first meeting with Lex and Tim. And this is why Steven Spielberg is so good at visual storytelling. Like, Alan Grant comes off as a grumpy old man here, and yet He's so endearing as he's trying to get away from Tim desperately, only to run into the roadblock that is Lex. Just pitch perfect direction, jump-starting the character arcs in this movie. At number 30, we have Nedry's death scene, and I feel like this scene plays out really well and suspensefully, like with this dinosaur stalking Nedry through the rainy woods, and we don't actually know what it is at first. It seems pretty cute. And then when it spits on him, it dawns on you what this is.
No, Dilophosaurus is actually poisonous, spitting its venom at its prey.
My issue with this scene, though, is Dennis Nedry himself. He comes off too much like a cartoon here. At number 29, we have the quick scene where they decide to shut the tour down, and this scene is this high because I like the character moment for Hammond. All this stuff is starting to wear him down now, like it's all chipping away that, like, uber positive facade. At number 28, we have the scene where the storm begins, and there's not much in this scene, but I like this scene for its atmosphere, because it really feels like the turning point in the movie, from all the childlike wonder from the first half of the movie to the utter horror of the second half movie. At number 27, we have Nedry and Hammond's argument, and I guess I was wrong about a previous scene being really the first time we see Hammond's facade start to be chipped away at, because it gets chipped away here. I like the character beat where all throughout the first half of the movie, he says spared no expense for everything. But with Nedry, he's basically like, your financial problems are your financial problems. Like, he spared expense here, and it's utterly him in the end.
Don't get cheap on me, Dodson. That was Hammond's mistake.
At number 26, we have the It's a Unix System scene. And I say that with disdain because this is a great scene if you focus on the raptor attack part. Like, that part is frenetic, terrifying, entertaining, exciting, all the stuff that this movie does great. But then we have Lex saving the day because she's a hacker and it's a Unix system.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
This is Jurassic Park at its worst when it starts just catering to kids a bit too much, and it just feels cheesy and makes me cringe just a bit. At number 25, we have the Triceratops scene, and Jurassic Park does that sense of wonder so great. Just watching Alan and Ellie acting like kids, it just warms my heart. I enjoy it every time. The music is beautiful. The scene just works. The kids themselves, they're the only blemish here. Like, what exactly does she think she's doing here?
It's a Unix system. I know this.
At number 24, we have the conversation between Ellie and Hammond. And this is a hauntingly beautiful scene. The music is phenomenal. This is brilliant acting from both Richard Attenborough and Laura Dern. And the character moments for Hammond really sell you on the fact that this is a good guy deep beneath all of the excessive capitalistic urges that he has.
This place, I wanted to show them something that wasn't an illusion.
I just wish they weren't so on the nose with the themes here.
When we have control again.
You've never had control. That's the illusion.
At number 23, we have the first scene in the movie, and I've always felt like Jurassic Park lacks that truly amazing opening scene that a lot of Spielberg movies have. But what it does well is it sets a tone that the movie needs to have at this point. Like, we need to see the danger that these dinosaurs pose, because the first hour of this movie is basically all this wonder and amazement at the act of creating these dinosaurs. We needed this horrific moment to set up all that's going to come later.
Shoot her! Shoot her!
At number 22, we have the dig site, and this is where we meet Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler. And this is a very efficient scene at just sort of telling us who these characters are. We learn so much about them and their relationship and just Alan's worldview and his antagonism towards children.
Maybe across the belly, spilling your intestines.
At number 21, we have Alan and the kids bonding in the tree. And I just talked about a scene where Alan is pretty toxic towards children. Here, he's beautiful towards children. I don't know if that's the description I would use. But I've trashed the kids a bit in this video so far, but I actually like this character arc for all of them. The music is absolutely beautiful. The character dynamics here are perfect. It's just a wonderful scene. Maybe I should have said wonderful. Alan's wonderful towards children.
Maybe across the belly, spilling your intestines.
At number 20, we have the scene where we meet Dennis Nedry, and I'm not the biggest Nedry fan, but I like this scene because Nedry is genuinely funny in this scene.
Dodson! Dodson! We've got Dodson here!
And I think it's an early example of how Hammond does not have control over the situation whatsoever, no matter how much he thinks he does. I think it sets up the themes of this movie very well. At number 19, we have the big pile of shit.
That is one big pile of shit.
And I mean, it's just a funny scene, so that's why it's this high. But I want to mention one thing about Ellie Sattler. I'm pretty anal when it comes to like getting dirt on myself. It drives me nuts that Ellie just sort of like folds those gloves inside out, just carrying them. You can see some of that poop on her leg. Yeah, it's a gross scene. At number 18, we've got the T-Rex paddock scene, and Spielberg is so masterful in this movie at withholding showing us the dinosaurs. I think it amplifies the suspense in the back half of the movie. But more than anything, this scene is up here because it sets up maybe the greatest scene in cinematic history. At number 17, we have the raptor attacking Ellie in the power substation, and Spielberg famously had one hell of a jump scare in Jaws. And he does it in Jurassic Park because this is the only real jump scare.
Hammond, I think we're back in business.
And it's perfectly timed because it's right after the big fence scene where Tim gets electrocuted. And you think, oh man, that's the big moment. And it's like a little bit of a breather. But no, that breather lasts like 2 seconds before that raptor just pops out of nowhere. The reason it's not higher though is admittedly a nitpick. She has this thing hanging off her leg when she's running. That should have gotten caught in the door, and it doesn't. I don't know why that bothers me so much, but it does. At number 16, we have Ellie and Muldoon finding that the raptors have escaped from their pen. And this is a very tense scene because the raptors have been established as super dangerous from way early in the movie. And the entire part's like 2 seconds, but when Ellie is running through the jungle, we don't actually see anything. Man, that is brilliant direction. I just think the script makes Muldoon out to be dumb, which is a stark contrast from earlier.
Damn it, you imagine you better to mess with a raptor fence.
Well, maybe he wouldn't have if you had cared like you did earlier in the movie.
The raptor fences aren't out, are they?
At number 15, we've got Dino DNA. Yeah, shitty accent.
Dino DNA.
But my God, doing a cartoon here, what an incredible example of exposition. Because it also allows for comedy and to develop Hammond further as like this uber-friendly Walt Disney type character. At number 14, we have Nedry stealing all the Dino DNA, and we have the cars losing power. And this scene is basically everything coming together to have the shit hit the fan. Like, all the best stuff is still to come, but this is the scene that gets everything into position, and it works really well at just gradually ramping up the tension. At number 13, we've got Clever Girl. Maybe I should not try to impersonate the characters.
Clever girl.
Muldoon is established in his very first scene as a badass. He just knows how to get things done. He even smirks after the T-Rex chased him in the Jeep. So it's like, you're expecting a huge battle royale with the Raptors, and to see the Raptors take him down basically without a fuss is freaking frightening, and it's just really well executed. My only issue with the scene is the jungle, it never feels geographically correct. Like, I'm like, where is this in relation to everything else? It feels a bit too much like a set. At number 12, we meet John Hammond, and this is like Spielbergian exposition, beautifully done. Just the constant movement of the characters throughout the frame. It's mostly shot from one angle, but we just learn so much about the characters. Hammond hints at things without really saying anything. And I just think this is masterfully done. This is why I think Spielberg is so brilliant at these movies. At number 11, we have the hatchery, I guess is what you'd call it. But this is the scene where the themes of science versus, I guess, playing God really start to come to a head, where Malcolm starts questioning all of the supposed controls that are in place in Jurassic Park. But this scene accomplishes so much. It has that sense of wonder that Jurassic Park does so well. It's got great character moments, beautiful music, and fantastic exposition, and an incredibly iconic line.
Life finds a way.
At number 10, we have the fence scene, and this is a good time for me to mention that there's quite a few of these unique non-dinosaur set pieces which help make The moments in between the dinosaur attacks really stand out. And this is one of them because Ellie trying to flip the breakers should not be this exciting. I mean, when I try to fix my circuit breaker to like get my dishwasher to run, I'm very bored usually. But this is phenomenal, just cutting back and forth between Alan and the kids on the fence and Ellie switching on the power. She's doing the right thing, but she may inadvertently kill them. Just a good scene bringing together two plots. At number 9, we've got Tim in the Tree, and I just talked about a non-dinosaur set piece, and here's another non-dinosaur set piece. And this one is slightly better because this is where we start to see the bond forming between Grant and the kids. And I just think the car falling through the trees and chasing two characters vertically down the tree is just more creative.
Well, we're back in the car again.
At number 8, we've got the T-Rex chasing the Jeep. And geez, talk about an iconic scene. Like, I feel like every piece of the scene is iconic. The T-Rex bursting out of the leaves, the T-Rex going through the tree. Like, I feel like this was in all the trailers, so everyone back in the 90s knew about the scene before watching the movie. And then Malcolm's iconic line in the Jeep.
Must go faster.
At number 7, we have the conversation at lunch, and this scene is brilliant because of just all of the different little character moments from all of the characters. But this is really a showcase for Malcolm versus Hammond. And I think both are brilliant here.
Just have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
This is the perfect marriage of theme and characters with whip-smart, quotable dialogue, and it's how you lay a sturdy foundation to support all of the spectacle in Jurassic Park. At number 6, we have another in a long list of beautiful Jurassic Park scenes. This one is the ending, and I think this is the perfect culmination of all the character arcs. Just seeing the loss and regret on Richard Attenborough's face at the end, incredibly moving. Malcolm is much quieter here than he was in the ride in. And then seeing Alan and the kids with Ellie looking at him fondly, there's just something very moving about this, something very hopeful and very related to an earlier line.
I don't know, I guess. Guess we'll just have to evolve too.
I feel like the vibe of the scene basically is that line in a visual form. At number 5, we have the Raptors in the kitchen with the kids, and I think this is the scariest scene in the movie. We know how dangerous the Raptors are. The characters have been talking about it all movie long. Muldoon was taken out so easily. Now to see the Raptors in this kitchen with the kids, it's terrifying, and I think this scene is good in that it forces the kids to have to save themselves, essentially. The kitchen setting allows for a lot of little unique and relatable set pieces, just with cluttering silverware, with the oven, with the freezer. It all works. It's very tense. It feels like a slasher movie. I think my only issue with it is this moment. At number 4, we have the final chase with the Raptors. And this scene just has a lot of stuff going on. The part in the museum, the part in the air ducts, the Raptors cornering the 4 humans. It's all very tense, very action-packed. In a normal movie, I feel like the T-Rex coming through here would have been a cop-out. But here, my God, this is the ultimate crowd-pleasing moment. Later, Jurassic Park and World movies get this wrong and play up the T-Rex like it just is the hero of the movies, which has never made sense to me. With Jurassic Park, Spielberg knew the T-Rex was likely going to be most people's favorite dinosaur, but he established it as a huge, violent threat while also highlighting its majestic splendor. So when it swoops in here and kills the Raptors, it's shocking, but it's also incredibly triumphant, and that's something that the later movies just suck at. At number 3, we have the helicopter ride in, and Jurassic Park's handle on making people feel wonder is unsurpassed. Like, I rewatched this scene so often, and that's a rarity for me because normally the kinds of scenes that I rewatch are horror scenes or action scenes or violent scenes. This is none of that. It's all character development. Beautiful scenery, incredible music. This scene is such a rush. It's so powerful at getting you to feel what Jurassic Park wants you to feel, which is really the quintessential experience of watching Jurassic Park. And I'm embarrassed to say I never noticed the parallels in these two shots of Hammond until literally a minute ago. At number 2, we have a scene that is basically everything I just said about the number 3 scene, only slightly more, because now we get to see a dinosaur for the first time. Again, Jurassic Park making you feel those feelings, just putting you in these characters' shoes. You're on this amusement park ride when you're watching Jurassic Park, and this is the sheer wonder, the awe that's inspired when you're looking at this spectacle. And it's beautiful seeing the characters reacting to the Brachiosaurus, acting like children throughout the sequence. It's one of the most memorable moments I have of watching movies, and it's why this is number 2.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
And at number 1, it's essentially everything I said about number 2 and number 3 about Jurassic Park being masterful at getting you to feel all the emotions that it's intending. Only this time, it's in a horror slant. It's the iconic T-Rex attack. Maybe my favorite scene in any movie ever. The way it's set up, where they see the T-Rex paddock earlier, but there's nothing there. Withholding seeing the T-Rex until the perfect moment. It just accentuates the horror that much more. The rippling water, so many things have riffed on this or referenced this. It's incredible. Love what it does with my sound system and subwoofer. That T-Rex roar. Hey! All the things that happen around the cars, all these little minor set pieces, Gennaro being eaten, Malcolm being chased, the T-Rex knocking the car off the ledge. This is a pitch perfect scene, masterfully put together, incredible audio, incredible visuals. And while I think the Raptor scene later is scarier because of how frenetic the Raptors can get, this one trumps everything based on sheer spectacle and just how you can set up a scene and then pay it off brilliantly. The perfect number 1. So there you have it, my rankings of 42 Jurassic Park scenes. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. I've also done similar videos for the Indiana Jones series. I do more in-depth retrospective videos of these movies. I'm going to be doing Jurassic Park coming up very soon. I've done Indiana Jones, Jaws. Check them all out. And thanks for watching.